Hey y'all, it's DJ. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk books. So I just want to start off by saying, my bad. I'm sorry. I've been a mess and it's been so long since my last video, and I really apologize because who starts a whole YouTube page and starts talking about books and pumping out these videos and then just disappears? I do. I've done that. And I'm sorry. There are many reasons behind my recent disappearance. And the main reason being always the main reason, life is lifing. Life is always just lifing. For me, I don't know about you guys, maybe life always does the jig in your favor and you get to live life however you want. That rarely happens for me. I'm one of those people that just... Here we are. So the craziest thing that happened to me between January and February is me getting sick 3 times. Like, I was sick 3 times. Like, I don't know if it was a COVID, a flu, or a head cold, or just like one of those weird bugs that are going around, respiratory illness. Don't know what it is, but I had it. I was sick 3 times. And that kind of put me in a place where I was like, I can't really be on camera, like talking to people with the stuffy nose, with the scratchy throat, and blowing my nose, puffy eyes, and all of that. I mean, I know a lot of people all over the country are sick, have been sick. I've heard the stories. It's just been wild. So yes, that has kept me at bay. That has kept me back from like entertaining you guys and letting you know what's going on with my reading situation. But here we are. Second reason for me not being on YouTube and not being anywhere really is work. Most of us, we are working. We are paying high taxes to, I digress, I won't go into that, but we are paying taxes, we are going to work, and it seems as though the dollar is not matching up to the work, but I digress once again. But yeah, I've been working, and I'm guessing that my good, hard work has been paying off because I recently got a promotion at my job. Got a little raise, got a new title, and things are happening in my favor. So, you know, life is lifing. Like I said, there's the good and there's the bad, and there is the always in between craziness that just happens to people like me. But I'm good. I'm no longer sick. I have a new promotion, making some more money, making new moves in my art career. Things are happening, but also I have been reading. If you're like me, there's no way that I'm reading when I'm sick. Like, when I'm sick, I turn into a full-blown baby. Like, sniffles, whining, crying, watching TV, snuggled up with soup, tea, every medicine that you could possibly buy from CVS or Dwayne Reed. That's me. I'm just a mess, and there's no focusing, there's no page turning. It was a struggle at the end of January and like the beginning of February, even into the middle of February. Like, I was just like, damn, I'm not reading because I've been sick as hell. But during those in-between times when I wasn't sick and I was just back and forth to work and doing many projects, I did find time to actually read some books, or at least get started on some books. And I have some other books that I am so ready to read. I've been backed up on my reading, but all that being said, let's talk about this new stack and the books that I plan on reading and continuing throughout February and March. So first, before we even get to the first book and start talking about these books, you guys already know, let's take some nail time. Let's look at the jammies. All right, I got these a while ago. Like I said, I was sick, but it's like a cat eye situation. When you move them, it kind of like moves back at you. But yeah, we are going to continue with that black and gold movement. Feeling it. It matches my jewelry, matches the whole vibe. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, nails. Now that we've got the nails out of the way, let's talk about these books. So the first book on my list is a book that I finished. I'm not sure if I finished this book at the end of January or the beginning of February, but I did finish it and it was amazing. That book is AATA Witch, and this is by Nnedi Okorafor. Woo! When I say that this book really, I mean, I've talked about this book already when I was starting it, when I was in the middle, and just like coming closely to the end. And I was letting you all know that I loved it. I loved everything that was happening in the book. I loved the characters. They really grew on me. And I ended up giving this book a 5-star. So this book is following a character named Sunny. And Sunny is living in Africa, but she was born in America. And now her family has transported her back to, I believe they're in Nigeria. and Sunny is going to school, meets some friends, and all hell breaks loose when Sunny realizes that she has magic powers. One night Sunny is like in her room and she's like looking at this flame, and apparently the flame is like dancing in front of her and kind of like giving her a vision. So she starts moving closer to the flame and literally like catches on fire. She got so close to the flame that her hair caught on fire. Now she's like running through the house, family's trying to put her out, but in the flame, Sunny sees the end of the world, and it's kind of like a magic vision. So Sunny has these three friends, Orlu, Chi-Chi, and Sasha, and they're all like around the same age. They're all like in between like 12 and 14. And they end up on this juju journey. Like, they're learning juju magic. Of course, the other three are a little bit more like further into the magic culture than Sunny is, because Sunny is a free agent. Sunny knows of no one else in her family that like deals with juju, never heard of juju being dealt in her family. Her mom and her dad are actually like religious. They're not into like witchcraft or hoodoo or voodoo juju or any of those things. So Sunny has been like, whoa, what the hell is all of this? The four friends kind of like make this pact together where they cannot go out and tell anyone else about them having magic or the magic world that they are like intertwined into. So Sunny goes on these adventures with her friends where they go back and forth to this like magic forest and this magic place where the community of juju people interact, they purchase things, they read, and it's just like a whole like neighborhood or society where these people go together and do magic things. And Sunny is like thrown into this magic world like one night after the next, 1 week after the next, where she's just learning all this new stuff. It's very difficult for her because she's had no like connection to this stuff in the past, but she's just actually a natural magic doer. She learns who her like spirit animal is. She learns all these different things about herself. And then like kind of like towards the third quarter of the book, Sunny, Chi-Chi, Orlu, and Sasha all find out that they are a part of a specific coven that is set to kind of like save the world now. And they're like, what the hell? Like, we just learned that we can do all these other things. Like, we barely know our powers. We're so young. And with all these elders and teachers, how are we the ones destined to change and save the world? But they are. And whoo, when I say the shit hits the fan, the shit hits the fan and then it comes back at you. So you have to deal with you having shit all over you too, because you're deep in the shit. Deep in it because the shit has hit the fan. And this book just gets crazy. There's so much action. There's so much magic talk. The world building is crazy. The duality between the regular world and the juju world, it's just like night and day. But the story is really, really fun and interesting. And I believe that this is a series. This is the first book, a part of this series. And now I have homework to do, so I have to get the other books. Hopefully they're out. I've not done my research, but I need to find out what's going on with the other books and when I can read them, because this was absolutely amazing. So yeah, AATA Witch. Anybody who's into magic, African lore, and things like that, this is definitely the book for you. I recommend it because it was amazing. Boom. So the next book on my currently reading list is The Nickel Boys. And this is by Colson Whitehead. You can see the cover there. I know it's always a little glare on my jammy, but The Nickel Boys. So I'm currently reading this book. I'm actually 57 pages into it. That's not bad because it's not a super long book, but during these 57 pages, I've learned a lot, and let's get into it. So this book is following a character by the name of Elwood, and Elwood is living in Florida, in Tallahassee, Florida. And this is like the early 1960s, so back in the day, historical fiction, and Colson Whitehead is actually writing about a institution that actually did exist. I'm not sure if that place is called like Nickel Academy or whatever it's called in the book, but I know that this place did exist, and it was a place that was like an institution for like wayward juveniles or like kids who just couldn't get it together and they needed some like stern fixing so they can get their lives right. There were like horrific things happening at this place, and Colson wrote about it. It's a novel, and just those first 57 pages have kind of like taken me out. The book begins kind of like explaining to us who Elwood is. Elwood lives with his grandmother. His parents have like run off to the corners of the earth. He knows not where his parents are, but his grandmother's doing a great job raising him, or the best she can. She's very stern, and she's all about Elwood like learning, getting an education, and making sure that he gets a good job, and he's just being raised the right way in a time where like a lot of crazy shit is going down. And it's paying off because Elwood is actually a really good kid. Elwood spends time at the hotel and the restaurant where his grandmother works, and he like stays in the back with the crew, and they like play games. The older guys are kind of like teaching him the rights and wrongs of the world, and Elwood is doing his thing. Elwood finds a job. He's working at this like bookshop, candy store type place, and making money and just kind of like learning things about society as any young like preteen would. So as the book progresses, I think maybe like 40 pages in, we find out that Elwood gets like accepted into this program where he can like start taking college classes or high school and college classes really soon before most kids his age. And when he's on his way to the school to actually start his learnings, he hitches a ride with someone. And of course, the person that Elwood hitches the ride with is someone who has stolen this car. So of course, the police pull them over. Elwood, of course, is like, hey, I didn't steal this car, but who listens to a young black man in the car with another older black man in the 1960s? You're both going down. So down they go. I believe that the older man probably just went straight to jail, and Elwood gets sent to Nickel Academy. And this place is absolutely crazy. A bunch of young boys who most of them have already been institutionalized into this place. They're like on their third time back, and they're sizing him up and trying to figure out how they can either integrate him into their camps or torture and torment and bully like most kids do. And that's kind of where I'm at now, where Elwood is like learning the campus, learning the different areas, and how there is extreme segregation between what the white kids experience in their part of the institution and what the black kids are experiencing in their part. And it's crazy. I've heard so much about how deep and heartbreaking this book can get, and I already can kind of sense that we're just getting the good parts of the book first, all the lighthearted stuff, and it will soon spiral into something that is not so great. But we love those things. We love to learn. We all love to see how history has transpired into the future and how it has affected people that actually live now that may have lived at that time and actually dealt with that craziness. But yes, so The Nickel Boys, I'm reading it and it is really good. Like Coulson, all the hype that people were giving, it's definitely worth it. Like Coulson is doing his thing. So on to the next book that I'm currently reading, and this choice is kind of strange because I've never read this way before, but I'm reading one Colson Whitehead book, and I just randomly picked up another Colson Whitehead book, and I'm literally reading both of these books at the same time, which I don't think is a bad thing. I've been wanting to read Harlem Shuffle for so long. I've had it for a while. Came out in 2021, so, you know, had it for a while. And I'm from Harlem, and I was just saying to myself, like, okay, I'm going to read this book. Like, I get the book, I'm going to read it. No, 3 years have gone by, haven't read the book. Now I'm picking it up because it's just kind of like spoken to me. And I'm reading two Colson Whitehead books at the same time. So for this book, I'm currently 8 pages in. But I will say that Colson is such a good writer that 8 pages in, I already feel like I know a few of these characters like more well than I should. Like the descriptive writing, the character building, and just giving us a good focus and description of what's happening, the environment and atmosphere. Coulson kind of knows how to do that perfectly. I've had no issues figuring out what's going on in 8 pages. This book is following a character by the name of Carney, and Carney lives in Harlem. And Carney goes around pretty much like buying and selling and reselling and going through apartments and houses just in the acts of financing like electronics. So it could be radios, TVs, any like electronics or like gadgets and gadgets that were really popular in the 1960s. That's what Carney is selling, and Carney has a relationship with other electronics sellers and business stores all the way down to like the Lower East Side of Manhattan, all the way up to Harlem, maybe even past Harlem, where he goes and he like negotiates with these people and gets his gadgets and gadgets. And that's really all I've gotten. It's just pretty much getting a look at who Carney is and how he interacts with these other people, and how these businesses are ran, and like what is in at the time. Like now we have like wireless speakers, we have laptops, we have phones and iPads and different things to like play music and enjoy ourselves. But these people are like, they have stereos that are encased in like mahogany wood and speakers that are like literally connected to the entertainment centers, like very, very ancient things that we really don't use anymore. But it's kind of nostalgic. Even though I was born in the 80s, I know absolutely nothing about the 60s. I still remember the residuals of those styles of furniture and how like technology and furniture were like really, really like fused back in the day. But I feel like it's way too early in the book to kind of like give a vibe of what's going on and what's happening. But I'm being introduced to the characters, and the writing once again is like very descriptive, and I just kind of feel like I'm already knowing what's going on, but I don't, because 8 pages. But yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. Harlem Shuffle and the Nickel Boys. Same author, same time. Enjoying both. They're extremely different books, and the fact that a writer can do that, like give us different things in different books in a way that would seem like you aren't even the same writer. But here we are. So the next book on my list is The Obelis Gate, and this is by N.K. Jemisin. This is a part of the Broken Earth trilogy. I read the first book in this series, the 5th season. I read that book in 2020. I think it was either 2020 or 2021. I went to California for a wedding, and funny, I got sick on that trip too. I need to get my life together. I'm sick all the time. It's a mess. But I got sick on that trip, but I was actually able to like stay in the hotel for most of the trip and actually read the entire book. And I read on the plane as well. And the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin is actually one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. Like, it is a 6-star book. Like, fuck the 5 stars. Let's go to 6. Let's say a 7. Like, because it just kind of like encapsulated everything that you would want to read when you're reading like a dystopian sci-fi book. It had magic, it had like complications between characters, all sorts of like crazy dialogue. There's like a weird, crazy twist at the end of the book. But I mean, if you are a sci-fi reader, you'd probably have caught it in the middle of the book. But needless to say, read the 5th season because it is amazing. Like, N.K. Jemisin knows how to write sci-fi, without a doubt. So after I read that book, I promised myself that I would move on to the next book, and here we are, 4 years later, and I am moving on to the next book. But during the 5th season, we're following 3 different characters, and in some way they are all intertwined. I don't want to give it away, but it's like different timelines, and it's explaining how these people who have these powers to create earthquakes that kind of like changes Earth's seasons, and there are other people who are like stone eaters, shapeshifters, people who have multiple different like powers that usually have a lot to do with like nature and the makeup of Earth and how we live and deal with things, but in more of a magical sci-fi way. And it is amazing. It's crazy. So I have absolutely no idea what happens in this book. I'm just guessing that we kind of pick up off where we left. And I can't wait to get back into it. I kind of want to read the 5th season again so that I can like be back in the vibe of what was happening and kind of catch those emotions again. But these books are kind of thick. And what DJ is not going to do, DJ's not going to reread a thick book just so that he can get into the next one. Kind of just going to wing it, just going to figure it out. But I've heard that this one is almost as good as the first one, so I feel like I'm going to love it. And I can't wait to get into it. The Obelis Gate by N.K. Jemisin. Boom. So the next book on my list is A Master of Jin, and this is by P. Jelly Clark. Once again, this is another book that I have no idea what it's about. I really don't like to go into books like knowing what they're about. Same with like movies. I don't watch a lot of movie previews and things like that. I just kind of like get a gauge of like, is it in a category that I love to read? And I jump into it because everyone's opinion about something doesn't mean that it's gonna like help you enjoy it or help you to go and watch it or like engage with it. So yeah, no. But what made me pick this book up is that I've actually read from this author before. I read P. Djeli Clark's Ring Shout, and it's like a novella. It's a very short book, and it was amazing. Definitely a 5-star book. Loved it. So me reading a 5-star book by an author is always going to have me pick up the next book. And I haven't heard much about this book. I do know of other booktubers who have read this book and they have enjoyed it. But anything that's happening with magic, count me in. Master of the Jin. Jin is giving genie magic. And on the front of this, it's like a lot of like clockwork. It looks like a lot of like sci-fi technology vibes. So maybe it's like futuristic tech meets like ancient tradition, talking about jinn and genies and magic and who knows. There's always a little summary in here. So it's giving Cairo, 1912. Someone named Fatima, youngest woman working in the Ministry of Alchemy. Someone is murdered. There's a member of the Secret Brotherhood who is murdered. The world is transformed in 40 years. Vanishing. Crazy stuff going on. Sounds like an adventure. Probably gonna enjoy this. Can't wait because P. Djeli Clark just does no wrong in my book. I mean, okay, I've only read one book, but so far, P. Djeli has done me well. So yeah, A Master of Jin. This is on the list. This shall be read very, very soon. So the next book on my TBR list is The Old Drift. And this book is by Namwali Serpel. I hope I said that right, but yes. So this book was actually a part of another video that I did. I had it in my stack and I totally forgot to add this and talk about it. I had it in my little stack and I'm all smiling and happy like woohoo, and went through all these books and didn't go through this book. This was actually a part of the paperback video, or it was supposed to be, because this is actually one of the paperbacks that I like. It's like kind of big like a regular book, and it's kind of like hefty like a regular book, like a, not a regular book, but like a hardcover. And I just, you know, I love the feel. I love the cover. It's really cool. And it's supposed to be categorized as like a horror or thriller. And I rarely read books like that, which is really a shame because I love horror. I love thrillers. I don't really care for like gory stuff, but I love stuff that kind of makes me feel scared and gets me in that mood to be like, ooh. But yeah, so The Old Drift, I have no idea what this is about. On the banks of the Zambezi River, a few miles from the majestic Victoria Falls, there's a colonial settlement. It's called The Old Drift. There is like a small African nation there, and they are like intertwined with like some people who are from other places, like an Italian guy. There's like these bus boys. There's like a Zambian family. There's a woman who is like covered in hair and she's dealing with plagues and she's living with endless tears. Okay, there's a lot going on in here and I just can't get a grasp of like what exactly it's about with the synopsis, but this shall be read. Y'all know I like a little thick book, a little thick. I love that. Love that. It's over 565 pages, so I think this is going to be fun. Hopefully I enjoy it, but we love African writings. We love African stories, don't we? We love to read things that aren't always very prevalent in the literary world, and this is one of those things. So I shall read this. If anyone has read this book or if you know of it, you know anything of it, you have a rating, let me know in the comments what the vibes are, but The Old Drift shall be read. Okay, so the next book on my list is Freshwater. Now, Freshwater is by Kweki Emezi or Akweke. I'm terrible with names. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments how to say this. If this shows up on Instagram, they will let me know as well. They always do. Thank you. But yeah, I hate to say people's names wrong, but y'all listen. I'm not sure. I don't think I may or may not own other books by this author, because when I just see stuff that's really popular online, I just end up buying it, which is a shame because I don't know what I'm buying. I'm just buying stuff. Y'all keep me in mind, keep me in prayer, because what the hell am I doing? But yeah, I heard Freshwater is really, really popping. It's really dope. I've heard a bunch of like 5-star reviews, 4-star reviews, so I'm guessing I'm gonna like it. But let's talk about what this is about. So this book is following a character by the name of Ada, or Ida, and Ida is born in southern Nigeria. And the crazy thing about this birth is that apparently the family prayed for Ada to be born. They like prayed for a child. And you know, be careful what you pray for, because apparently Ada is like a very violent and upset child that just deals with a lot of like inner turmoil. And come to find out that Ada has like multiple personality disorder, or has like these spirits or other selves that are inside that kind of take over sometimes and like leads Ada down a road of terribleness. So a tragedy happens or things go really crazy, and apparently Ada, the main self, kind of like pushes back into the shadows of who Ada is, and all of these other selves or characters that are within her kind of like rush to the front and cause Ada to be something that no one ever thought Ada would be. And that sounds crazy. Kind of reminds me of this book that I read a long time ago. Any of you who grew up like in the 90s, or, you know, started reading books you shouldn't have been reading when you were younger, like me, I was reading a lot of books by Zane, and there was this one book by Zane called Nervous, and the main character in the book Nervous was just like dealing with multiple personality disorder, but like in a sexual way. So always going out and like involving themselves in these sexual interactions that were just random, strange, crazy, and out of pocket, but never remembering them, because like when she got home, she was always just herself, and she couldn't figure out like why she was in pain, why she was going through these sexual issues, and it's because she had multiple personality disorder. But enough said about that. I think I want to do a separate video about all of the older books that I've read that are actually crazy and people don't know about it, but soon to come. Let me know in the comments if you guys do want to hear about some of the older books that I read like when I was in high school and in middle school that are just about like urban foolishness. I'll bring them up in another video, but this reminded me of that, with like the multiple selves and multiple characteristics in one person. But yeah, so Freshwater, heard it was good. Y'all tell me how to say her name or their name, and we'll be reading this. Okay. So the last book on my TBR list is Sky Falling. Sky Falling. This book is by Maya Mackenzie, probably Mia. But I've had this book for a while, kind of like when I first got into Book of the Month. I should have read this a long time ago. This also came out in 2021. But here we are. Really nice cover. I like the colors and all of that. But this book is following a character by the name of Sky. Sky Falling. Sky has always been like a carefree person, someone who doesn't take life too seriously, always like going to the beat of her own drum, doing her own thing. And when she was like young, like maybe like late teens, early 20s, Sky decided to take some of her eggs and sell them for money. Now Sky is in her 40s and hasn't regretted a thing, just living her life, doing her own thing, moving around, making things happen. Apparently one day this 12-year-old girl finds Sky, she hits her up, and she's just like, hey, I'm one of those eggs. I'm one of those eggs that you sold. I'm your child, daughter out here. Like, you thought you wasn't a parent, well, you are. And Sky is just like, you know, taking it in stride. She's just like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to feel negative about this. I'm just going to kind of like meet this child, engage with them, and see if I can actually care about another human being outside of myself. And apparently that goes wrong. It's very tough to actually connect with other human beings, especially on this planet. And especially when you're in your 40s and your child is 12 and you've never met them, you don't even know their upbringing. It's not easy. It's tough. Also, I'm not sure if Sky is like bisexual or lesbian or whatever the situation may be, but Sky apparently tries to pick up this woman and fails, but then also finds out that the woman is her child's aunt. Okay, like already messy. Like Sky is falling. Sky is falling and struggling. So a lot of things happen, a lot of things transpire. Apparently this is a drama. From what I've read, this is gonna get dramatic and messy, and I love things like that. We love things like that. That's why you guys are watching this channel, because it's messy, it's crazy, it's a mess, and we love a mess. So yeah, Sky Falling, I'm gonna give you all the details of how messy and crazy this gets. It's not that big, it's not that long of a book, so hopefully this will be read before April hits. All of these books are kind of like my March reads. February is almost over. We got like 6-7 more days or whatever. This month she'll be done, but I want to finish the books that I started and get into the new ones as well. So yeah, those are the books that I am currently reading and the books that I have on my TBR for March. These are the things that I want to like read and get through and get done with before spring hits, because I have some really, really cool plans and ideas for my reading TBRs for spring and for summer. So I want to knock all of this stuff out, get you the information, and we can talk about it and chat about it, but also move into some new things for the new season. That being said, I just want to say thank you all for chiming in and watching my videos. I've been going way too long. Like, I felt crazy. Like, I know that I'm supposed to be doing something. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be on YouTube, you know, connecting with my peoples, connecting with my readers, and I really slacked on that because life almost took me out of here. But I'm back at it. This is a new video for you all, and there will be many, many more to come. Also, drop some recommendations in the comments. Let me know what you all would like to see, or if there are books that you think that I would really enjoy and that you would enjoy hearing me talk about. That all being said, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe and share this channel with anyone else that might enjoy talking about books and stories and just engaging in the craziness that is life. Until next time, I will see you later.